It's our first live panel of the season. It's New York Fashion Week. This is our first live discussion. We're talking live alongside the Jason Wu Show. I'm here with our lovely panellists. We've got Camilla Morton on the end, a writer and editor and author of the Fashion Fairy Tales series. And then we've got Jane Shepherdson from Whistles. And we've got Ruth Hogben, who's an acclaimed filmmaker. So we've got a fabulous panel here today, big range. I want to start by talking to you guys about New York Fashion Week. What are you excited about? Are you excited about New York Fashion Week anymore? Is it a fashion week that people get excited about?
I think it's a good one to start off with because New York always has... New York is very focused, it's very commercial, it's very good at establishing proportions and silhouette. It might not be as avant-garde as Paris, but I think you need to lay good foundations to see where you're going to build from for the rest of the season. And I think if you started with something crazy, you wouldn't be able to build upon that. So I think actually now they've flipped it around and New York's first, I think it's the right person to go first.
I think so. I think it gives you quite a good idea of broadly what the season's going to look like. And commercially what it's going to look like. So I think it's a good place to start. Yeah, I'm excited.
From a retail perspective, do you think that New York is still the place that people do look at for what's going to sort of...
I think they do, yes. Yeah, I think London is becoming much, much more commercial, and you're starting to see things coming through from London and sort of being translated onto the high street much more quickly. But I think New York is easy. It's really kind of wearable fashion that you can really, really interpret very, very quickly. Yeah.
Ruth, you've done films for a huge number of really exciting, sort of very, very creative brands. So someone like Gareth Pugh, who you've worked with. Do you look at New York as somewhere exciting?
I do, but I mean, I think because I'm coming from a very different point of view for you guys, I'm just sort of looking at it to daydream about my film. So I don't see it as in that's commercial and that's more creative. I sort of look at it more individual, sort of, I'll see a dress there and a dress there and a dress there, and I'm just sort of daydreaming with it really, rather than thinking business with it. So yeah, I get excited about all the shows and all of it really, because I just get to be in my own little head about it and daydream about women.
Nice way to be.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to be talking about Jason Wu today. I think Jason Wu is quite an interesting example for a New York designer because he is one of the more established ones, and he's the one that gets a lot of press and one that's talked about a lot, partly over Michelle Obama, who we'll obviously talk about a bit later. But he's also an incredibly young designer. He is very new and fresh. He's only 29, and I think a lot of people forget that because he's seen as this kind of stalwart of New York. I want to talk a little bit about the young designers of New York as opposed to the young designers of London, because here we've got people like Mina Kirchhoff, we've got J.W. Anderson, who are relatively similar in terms of age, but have a very different vibe about them. It's that kind of raw, energetic talent. Is that missing from New York?
I don't know whether it's the rawness that's missing, but I think in New York, and I think what New York does is something that London could do with, is that they grow business at the same time as creative and commercial, and sometimes you have an exploding firework but no tinder underneath it, and sometimes you need to build the tinder so you can carry on the fire as well. And I think that Jason is pretty impressive because you think of him alongside a Calvin or a Narciso or one of the big established brands that he's sat in Saks and Bergdorf's, and it's because he's got his business sorted out properly. And I think it's, you know, maybe I sound boring, but I think as much as you're going to have these amazing creative ideas, they can explode much bigger if you've got the structure behind to support it, rather than freaking out all night wondering if you have your dinner over a Bunsen burner whether you can put your next show on. I think you need to have a little bit of support to go with the dream. I know that sounds a little unromantic, but I think New York is a good example to start with. Well, it's where it starts because they've got it kind of right.
Yeah, people like Jason are incredible, I think. I mean, Alexander Wang too, to an extent. They seem to be able to combine incredible creativity with this, you know, this incredible business acumen that you know, I don't think I've got. You know, they're really kind of entrepreneurial and quick and savvy. They know where to get the stuff made. That they just, I don't know, they seem to be born with this incredible sense of knowing exactly how to navigate through the system, as well as designing great clothes. And it's, I very rarely see it actually in people in this country, and that's, you know, I don't know whether that's I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but designers in this country seem to me to be a different breed entirely. You know, they're sort of consumed by their vision or what they want to do, but rarely sort of have much of an idea of the business side of it, or don't really want to particularly. But you get the feeling with someone like Jason, he loves it. He loves that side of it too.
New York seems to be a lot more open to designers like that who can sort of say, I'm doing something creative, but I'm also doing something commercial. Whereas I think perhaps in London there is even a sense of a little bit of hesitancy about that. It's seen as kind of, if you do something that's more commercial, more sellable, there's kind of, it's not...
I think there is a little bit. I think there is a little bit of snobbery still remaining, and I don't quite know why.
Do you think that's holding people back?
I think it's changing. I do think it's changing. I think perhaps
fashion has changed so much. It's changed so much. I mean, you can be a dreamer, but you look at the internet, the way that you can access everything instantly. We can sit here without even bothering to leave the house and access this show that they've put months and months into, and there we are, just able to pick it apart, you know, just sat on a chair having a cup of tea. I think that because everything is so accessible now, you've got to find a way of packaging your dream in a way. Maybe the English, we're the dreamers, and we're maybe more whimsical and poetic about it, but in America I think they're so driven, and I think that's so impressive, and it's quite, I think that's what it is. It's they're driven, they're focused on how to sort it out, whereas maybe we just float into the dream world, and I think we can all learn a little bit from them. I don't think we should all stop dreaming, because I think that's what makes London and places like that so exciting. But if you look at Jason and stuff that's coming through, it looks quite dreamy this time. I think it looks like, go down that one of the Marcel wave, that looks beautiful. Looks really couture-y.
And we just had a tweet in that says, heard backstage, a little bondage never hurt anyone. So maybe it is going a bit more on the dark side. I would like to talk quite specifically about Jason, because I think you mentioned kind of how they managed to get things together and just kind of in an incredibly quick way, and I think Jason's such a good example of that, because just a few seasons in he was already doing accessories, he was already really sort of tapping into his client base at such a young age. Do you think that that's just an innate thing that came with him, or do you think there's better support in New York? Why do you think the designers seem to be able to turn
I think
this around?
it's partly innate with him. I think he's very clever. I really do.
Yeah.
But I think there must be more support, and there must. I don't know. I think maybe it's at the beginning it's much more about, but how am I going to monetize this? How am I going to make money out of this? In a way that I think that sort of thought or that conversation comes later with British designers. First of all, it's how can I accomplish what my creative dream or whatever. First of all, and I don't know, that there's perhaps more excitement still here, but I think in America, it is about how does this make money? And money is, of course, accessories make money. You know, those are the obvious things that perhaps we're less good at coming to that conclusion so early.
Would you agree with that, Reece? Because you've worked with fashion individuals of all different kinds.
I mean, I do think like I said earlier, I don't really know sort of the difference of what London, New York, Paris and Milan is supposed to be, but I think when I look at Mary Kotransky's stuff, all the stuff that's coming out now, all the scarves that she's got and all the stuff it's not just about a dress, and the stuff that's, you know, like the Alexander McQueen dresses, the woolen dresses with prints, she's doing all that so you don't have to buy like the hugely expensive, really catwalk show pieces. So I think that she's really, really clever, and I think and Christopher Kane's really, really clever, and I think that there's lots of individuals all throughout the shows that sort of get it right, and I find it hard to sort of go, this is that, that's that, and that's that, because I do think there are clever designers in London as well, and I think it's, you know, it's really tough to get it right, and especially when you're really, really young, and you actually just need to be creative, and you're actually trying to please yourself, let alone journalists, buyers. You know, you're actually trying to answer a question as an artist, trying to answer a question for yourself is tough, let alone actually have to answer business questions as well. And I think that's, you know, so hard to get right, and you know, it takes people a bit longer, but obviously Jason's hugely talented and he's got that right, and Yeah.
Do you think the pace of fashion is perhaps holding people back in a way, than that pressure to do something every season and even in between seasons now, and it's stopping a young designer being able to focus on how am I going to build my brand, because they're always having to think about their aesthetic.
Well, the pace is out of control. It's completely insane. They don't do one collection a year. You have resort, you have cruise, you have this, you have that. It's crazy. And I think that it's amazing that people, when you're on a hamster wheel that is fashion, I think it's amazing that you can still have original ideas because you're just like running to keep up with the next thing. And I think that, you know, for people like Mila Kirchhoff or Gareth Pugh to still be so original, I mean,
it's incredible.
You know, that means that they, you know, it just shows what a strong talent they have, that they can still be original when they've got all these like mad deadlines. I mean, I bet that Van Gogh or Picasso didn't work to a deadline like this, and they're just like, oh, could a person ever arrive at a fashion show on time?
Yeah, we've got the live stream now, so everyone's filing in.
The thing I find about fashion shows extraordinary is everybody always greets each other, air kiss each other, left, right, and it's always a surprise to see them, even though you've only seen them the show before, and you're always, oh, good to see you, look so thin. Well, we saw each other 15 minutes ago. It's a shame we don't have a poker and we can electrocute them and zap them to get them to sit down.
Sit. Buys us more time.
Where is this taking place? Do we know what the venue is?
I actually don't know what the venue is. We can probably.
It's quite a nice floor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice.
I think it looks more Belle Epoque than Helmut Newton.
It's definitely looking. There's definitely a theatrical element to it. I think this season, which is we've already seen here with the
Odile Gilbert hair.
Which is reminiscent actually
Love
of
that.
previous stuff that he's done. The venue's St John's Centre, New York, I've just been told by my earpiece.
Thank you, earpiece.
I do want to just home in a little bit on Jason, because we've talked quite generally about New York and London, but we want to talk about how Jason's managed to build his brand, and I think such an essential moment to that has to be the Michelle Obama moment. And I think it's quite interesting to think about how Jason's career would have progressed if that hadn't happened, because I think it perhaps would have been slightly more typical of a designer starting out. How did you guys see that moment when she wore that dress by someone who at that stage wasn't a well-known
But I think what it was is he was guided by you know, people. It was the lady who owns Ikram in Chicago and Andre Leon Talley. Jason didn't even know he was doing it for Michelle Obama, and apparently Michelle would shop in Ikram, and she asked for, you know, she didn't have a relationship one-on-one with the designers. And I think when you have like this personal relationship, like, oh, me and so-and-so, me and this, it's very hard to turn around and say, actually, I don't really want you to do my inauguration dress, I'm going to go, because if you've got that big event, you'd want the pick of the candy box. And so they got several sketches, and Kate Betts wrote this fabulous book about Michelle Obama called Everyday Icon. I was reading last night in my cramming session, and she said that the lady at Iqam basically got a few sketches, sent them to Mrs. Obama. She never told them who they were designing for. They just thought that they were doing it for a special guest. And then Jason was so sort of like nervous about FedEx, which I completely agree with, that he took it over, dropped it off, spent Thanksgiving doing it, sent it in, and then he didn't know, and he got so swept up with the inauguration. She wore Isabel to Toledo or something at the beginning. I can't pronounce the name. She wore her to the sort of ceremony in the day, and then she danced 10 balls in that. I mean, that looks a big cumbersome skirt to be lugging around, but it was sort of symbolic of new era. And I think the thing I like most about Mrs. Obama is she's feminine, but she's strong. That should break. You know, she's not to be messed with. She's a strong, feminine, feisty woman. And she's not some silly little twiglet. She's someone you could aspire to.
In a way, for me, she seems different to what you would imagine the Jason Wu client as being. His collections are often called prim, even when he does something that is a little bit more tailored or a bit more sort of rebellious. He's done collections inspired by graffiti artists, but it still gets tied back into that Upper East Side, very prim, very pretty kind of aesthetic, whereas I think Michelle showed that actually his collections are more transferable.
I found a fabulous quote about the inauguration, and somebody used the Chanel quote about her. And they said of Michelle, this is a Chanel quote, they go, dress shabbily and they notice the dress, dress impeccably and they notice the woman. And I think that's kind of what he managed to do there.
Yeah. And this ties into a broader issue, which is really apt for you, Joan, given Whistles has kind of had its sort of leading lady moment with the Kate Middleton engagement. But do you think this kind of patronage of fashion by key political or royal, in this case, figures, is a good thing for fashion? Because it's often talked like the Kate Middleton effect, especially on British fashion.
I think it can only be a good thing. I think it's a very good thing. She's just showing the world that British fashion looks great, and I think, you know, for me, people, when I was in the US last time, somebody said, oh my God, but she's a princess and she's wearing clothes from the high street, you know, she can afford anything. You know, it's that real sense of, you know, she could wear anything she wants to, and yet she's chosen to wear something from a cheap store that they could afford as well. So it's really accessible; anyone can have it. She looks great in them anyway as well. You know, she's a great model for the clothes. I think it's a really good thing, and I think it has all around the world. I think it's made people look at British fashion and think, oh, it's interesting. Let's have a look a little bit further. So yeah, I think it can only be good.
We have someone like Samantha Cameron, who's obviously a huge patron of British fashion as well. Do you think, I was quite shocked by the fact that fashion was handed to Samantha Cameron, because she's obviously not someone who's elected, and it was kind of given to the Prime Minister's wife. Was that the right decision?
How do you mean?
Well, no elected minister got given fashion, which is the second biggest British industry. It was given to the Prime Minister's wife, and obviously she's been a great patron of British fashion.
She's an ambassador for it, but she's got no real portfolio, has she? I mean, as such, she's.
Well, she was at Smythson before.
Yes.
Yeah, she did the handbag there. I think, to be honest with you, I think we wanted to have a lady because we saw Michelle Obama and we thought we want a British ambassador. Then we got Kate Middleton, and so she became our ambassador. But now next year we've got people like Natalie Massenet becoming the chairperson of the British Fashion Council, and I do think that there are these amazing female icons in Britain, but British people, we don't sort of like waving our little flag so much, and I think good for Samantha Cameron, because she was like, no, I'll do it, because everybody else was a bit like, oh no, that's and I think we've got all sorts of art editors, you've got people like Susie Bubble, Katie Grant. We've got amazing style ambassadors, and I don't think we need just one, because I think in America you've got Michelle Obama, who's the First Lady, and she's a Jackie Kennedy of today. She's somebody we can all go, okay, that's the style. Whereas in England, we're so cosmopolitan, we couldn't just have one.
Ruth, you obviously approach clothes from a different angle, because you don't look at them in kind of the sense of the final wearer making something look fabulous because of who's wearing it. You approach clothes often in your films to look at just the beauty of the garment. Do you look at things like who's wearing the clothes, or do you think that's not the best way that fashion should be represented?
I mean, I look when I'm making film, I look at the clothes, and that determines what sort of woman I'm portraying in the films. But my thoughts don't go beyond that woman and that film and that moment and that feeling that I'm creating for that specific reason for what I'm doing. But I don't. Depends if I'm looking at clothes as a woman for myself to wear, or if I'm looking at clothes to make a really nice, crazy film out of. It's very different. I have to really, when I'm looking, I have to be very, very careful to go, oh, I really, really like that when I'm looking at a show. I think, oh no, I like that. It's not going to look very good in the film.
Do you choose the clothes for your film, or do you get approached by the designers to do it?
It really depends on who I'm working with. Yeah, if I'm working with Gareth, he will show me the fabrics really, really early on. I was really like, oh, I really like that, and then and it's quite a long process of working together. So he will just show me a little sample, just go, look, it's see-through like that, and it just gets, and then I go away for like a month and think about that, and then we'll have another meeting and I'll see it in the shape. And then I'll see the patterns, and I'll see all the nails get put in by hand.
It's so exciting when you see it evolve. I think when you actually see the process, and Because when you were, I mean, obviously when you were at Whistles, you worked with your design team there, but I know when you did Topshop and you got everybody on the new genders, when you see these new people coming up, to see them actually do the process and get it all together, I like the actual process of making it. I think that part is really exciting. Else is on? Because I don't want to look at this picture anymore.
Should we go back over?
Let's go to something lovely and beautiful. Have we started yet?
Should be starting about 10 minutes based on how late it is.
I mean there's no one there.
Front row can we can have a look.
Yeah, let's live stream it.
No, they're nowhere near. They're really faffing around.
You mentioned the process though, which is something I thought was really interesting, because I think that's something, when there is a focus on someone like Michelle Obama or Kate Middleton or Samantha Cameron wearing something really stunning, you do lose that kind of the process element of a designer's collection, where you have that whole aesthetic and there's seasons and seasons before it.
How far ahead do you work, Jane?
We work about 7 to 8 months.
Gosh.
Ahead. Yeah. We didn't actually. We're now working further ahead than we did before.
Really?
Yeah, because we kind of have to actually. Yeah. We need to get our thoughts. So it needs to formulate that more of a collection. And anyway, we're actually showing a small collection at a Fashion Week in next week. So we have to be ready. Yeah. So yeah. But it's hard. It's harder, and you're right about that window of actual creativity. It seems to get smaller and smaller. It's almost like you kind of think, how can this be? There's only like 2 weeks or something to actually have the ideas and the freedom. In
that 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and force yourself to be in a happy place.
Yeah, and then it seems like it's too quick. It's too fast. You never have the freedom or the luxury to just relax and say, oh yeah, I'm really quite liking that, I'm going to just develop that a little bit further. It's just, let's get it down, because that's it. It's quite hard, I think.
I think that's what's interesting when you see someone wear something like when Kate Middleton wore the McQueen, because it can mean there's one dress that becomes the symbol for that designer, and all those other collections, all that sort of pace element does get left behind, which can be a strange process in a way. With something like Jason Wu, where that dress symbolised him, even almost still now, it's the image that anyone writing an article on him would always turn to.
Yeah, and actually you're right, it doesn't really typify Jason Wu actually at all, does it?
No.
To me, anyway, it doesn't. I was quite surprised when I heard who designed it. It doesn't.
I mean, it's a nice calling card, but I don't think it defines him at all. But I think also the Kate effect doesn't define.
But I think I think it just gives you credibility and profile more than anything. It means that someone will look at you who wouldn't have looked at you before. I mean, that for us that's the case. We're a tiny little UK brand. Nobody would have ever heard of us, and yet I get now calls from a newspaper in Canada or in Oregon or in Australia, wanting to know about the rest of the range because Kate decided to pick one of the dresses. So and the same with Jason. Michelle chose his dress above everybody else's. So there must be something special about him and his collection and his process, I suppose.
It does tie into the broader issue of kind of the interplay between celebrity and fashion. That's something we're discussing the Victoria Beckham show on Sunday, so that's something we are going to talk about a bit more then. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that, and how kind of the idea of the wearer and a key wearer and a famous face being associated in whatever way to your brand, whether it's on the front row, I think we've actually getting more front row images in now, or whether it's wearing your clothes. Is that a good thing for fashion, or is that, do you think, detracting a little bit, this endless kind of product placement?
I can't bear it really.
Sometimes it's just so overwhelming.
Yes.
I think you want to, I don't know, I wouldn't go out and buy a dress if I saw Flipsy or Flopsy wearing it. I would buy it because I wanted to wear it because it was the right shape for me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if Flipsy had the right shape, I'd go, okay, well, she's the same sort of curve as me, but I certainly wouldn't ever dress up as one of the bunnies. I'd want to just use it for me. And I think maybe when fashion was a slightly slower pace and people went over and had to sketch it and then it had to go back on a boat and you had a little bit more time to digest it, then you had bigger muses, bigger characters, and you needed someone to pin it on more. I think now, with everything being so sort of almost like stepping into a flash pop of paparazzi bulbs yourself when you go shopping, I think in a way celebrity dressing, it slightly distracts from it. So I think you need to have a nice brand that you know, Kate obviously feels great in Whistle. She obviously doesn't need this whole big drama every time she leaves the house because she's got her face photographed all over the world. I think you need to have something that you feel comfortable in rather than dements you.
But it's such a business, isn't it? I mean, you know, everyone is paying everyone to wear all of their collections all the time on the front rows, and I
sort of takes
I
away
find
the
it,
dream.
I don't know. I'm quite cynical about it.
I
really.
sort of don't really pay attention to it. I mean, I think I think what it's come from really is people that iconically always look good.
Yeah.
You know, like someone, I believe,
Yes.
someone like Kate Moss
Yes.
will always look good. And whether that then goes off into the high street or whether a young girl goes, oh, I love those boots that she's wearing when she walks her dog, then but it started from somebody having charisma and somebody having something really lovely about them
And
that
style.
you're interested in.
And something to say, I think.
Well,
whereas
yeah,
it's moved
but
away
now
from-
it's being forced upon and it's sort of a bit away from that, and it's sort of trickled down into this sort of diluted version of it. Whereas I think actually we still have loads of really interesting, inspiring, beautiful, charismatic women that we just naturally are drawn to look at. And I think that if you just look at it as that and you think, right, that person's amazing, then that's fine. When you start putting all the politics and the money and the advertising and the, you know, this person's advertising
Sort
fact
of
that they're
takes
away
beauty
the
of this
beauty.
night here,
Yeah.
it's sort of it just all becomes a bit boring.
Do you see that slowing down, or is this just going to increase and increase? Because we've already seen that with a publication like Vogue. It's always celebrities on the cover now, not even models anymore.
I don't know. People have been asking this question for the last 5 years, and every time I think, I hope so, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it is.
I think it'll be interesting to see which of these people stand the test of time. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
Katharine
this
Hepburn, Audrey
exactly,
Hepburn,
yeah.
you know, they stood...
Marilyn's
Yeah,
I mean, that's
they
the
were
thing,
standouts, you know, now...
Goose pimples when you think about
Yeah.
Marilyn.
Yes.
You know, she was a proper... I mean, now you say there's a model and you add the word super just because she was super duper enough to walk across the room, and...
Well, she had a good haircut.
Yeah, she had
all of
like a
sudden.
moment, and I think we give titles and sort of big things to people because we tweet them or we this them or we that them, but I think, you know, let them sort of like let them see if they stand the test of time, or even sort of establish themselves a few more seasons, and then they'd be interesting. But I think it's more interesting when they're inspired by great muses rather than incidental muses.
I'm interested that you mentioned the supermodels, because Jason's, like, he does use big models. So last season we had Arizona Muse who walked in his collection. He's got Jordan Dunn walking in his show today. Do you think that those kind of supermodels, do you think they make a difference to a brand? Do you think?
But do supermodels exist anymore
I
after
don't
that
think
80s
so.
era?
I think that they were the only supermodels.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And now there are fantastic, beautiful models, but I think it comes with the money that was around then, and the you know, Naomi and all of it. It's just, I just think it's that was that era in fashion, and we don't have it has moved on. We don't have that anymore. We have really, really great girls, but it's like they've got a different title.
Yeah. But I think it's, for him, having a recognisable girl wearing his clothes, it makes a difference. Of course it does.
But is that a shame that papers are more likely to print a picture of his clothes because it's on a recognisable girl rather than...
No, I think it's a good thing. I mean, what the heck is the point of doing a show if you're not going to get photos or you're doing it to sort of, this is your 20 minutes to establish and tell a whole story from beginning to middle to end, and sort of do your little thesis of what your season is about. And if somebody grabs one girl and takes it out of context, they have to know your whole story. So I think, great, go for a girl that you recognise. I don't know any of their names, but...
but I do think it's not, it's kind of, if you've got someone like Jordan Dunn or Carly Kloss, and it's not because Jason won't want those girls because they're names. He'll want them because they'll use their hands
bring something
in a different way, and they'll be elegant, and they're like Marilyn Monroe. They've got something about them that makes them really beautiful, good models, and he won't want to be using them because it's going to get them praised. He'll be wanting to use them because she walks properly.
Yeah.
And she understands
she
who
has
she is.
Poise. Yeah.
And she understands who she is in the cut of a dress, rather than if you don't use a very good model, she's not a very good model because she won't understand who she is. And let's face it, getting dressed, you're getting dressed as a person who becomes someone. And they understand who they're becoming, and that's what makes a great model, and that's why he'll want to work with them.
I think when shows have a narrative, or they have a great model like Carly, you were saying, who's such a good couture model in the way she walks, I think it adds so much to something. It's a bit like going to the dry cleaners. Those gross metal hangers never do anybody's clothes any favours, but if you know, it's you know, how you display it. If you have a beautiful wooden hanger, or if you have a padded hanger that...
with nice silk on it, with a bow.
Yeah, exactly.
With lavender.
I mean, you must find the way you merchandise stuff really matters.
Of course it matters.
You know, and this is basically your way of merchandising it.
And same for us. Whenever we shoot, and
okay,
we would always
getting everybody to sit down. That's a good
sign.
sign.
Yeah.
Do you find that people pay even more attention to that kind of the gloss aspect? So whether the hangers all look absolutely beautiful in the store, and how the whole feng shui of the store is set up.
Of course. Really, really, really important.
More than ever now? Because I think with
always,
like Mary Portis,
always was, but I think you can shop online, so the shop needs to look really, really good.
But even when you
exciting.
shop online, the way it's wrapped and this, that,
and
the other, you need the little
label on it.
and the tissue, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have, but I have. How fabulous!
I did that today.
Yeah, well, you should.
I bought a naughty dress today. It came in its little bag with tissue.
It's a little present to yourself.
It is.
Can't wait to try it.
Okay, here we go.
Show is starting.
Okay.
If anyone wants any more tea, by the way, do wave in.
No, I'm good. I've never drunk.
We're glued
tea
now.
Do we hear the music or?
No, we don't. We can turn it on if you want.
Yes.
Yeah. Get the whole thing.
Laura, do you mind just popping the music on?
I don't think there is any yet.
We
have to have the music.
Yeah, I think it's sort of
we
like
have to have
missing
the
one of the
music.
senses.
This is the best moment here. It's a moment's peace before it starts.
I feel nervous.
You're right though, I'm interested by, you said that before we started, this is everything to them, and it's so easy, I think, especially with things like Twitter, for people to just dismiss stuff. And
Yeah, you can be too flippant with Twitter.
Yeah.
Come on, you're under time. Music. Come on.
Do you think there is music yet? Or?
I presume there is on the stream. Oh, Ruth, you're so techie.
No? Are we doing this?
Let's do it.
I'm sorry if it hasn't worked.
That's fine. Oh, perfect timing. Hopefully we will get sound.
Nice mirror.
Yeah.
Well, I don't actually think this is a sound live stream. Oh, we were wrong when we called him Prim, weren't we?
We just. Yeah.
nice tension between the classical music and the sort of leggy Helmut Newton.
You do see the Helmut Newton now.
Yeah.
That hair is absolutely beautiful.
Lovely, isn't it?
Lovely contrast of sheer leather.
He has gone again with the big models. There's Cara, she's such a great model. Something quite fetishistic about some of the items.
So far, only monotones.
Good shoes.
Yeah, it's like,
It's lovely, lovely Luan.
Is that rubber or leather?
It's leather.
yeah, it's a leather. Got some colour now, Camilla.
Nice prints. Well, I'd like to wear it and make a film of it.
Oh, that's a good sign. Not
It's a good sign.
You really do see that Helmut Newton reference coming through now, because that was something. It does show how digital channels can sort of misrepresent stuff. Because when we just saw the hair and makeup alone, it was those references coming through.
Is that lace? That pink?
Yeah, I think it's a lace overlay.
So amazing that it's being streamed and we can just sit here and watch that.
Isn't
It's
it?
just
Incredible.
so incredible.
But there are brands who are only showing digitally now, like just See by Chloe are just doing their
Really?
just showing.
Leather and lace.
It's sort of bondage and the ballerina, isn't it?
With that
That'd be
floaty bit,
great,
but then that
yeah.
bit of that back
I know,
showing
it's
is
lovely,
beautiful.
yeah.
Because you don't think that, you think, oh, she's a nice, beautiful, prim lady, and then you go, oh no, actually she's so sexy. Flash of that
So
nice bit of
sexy.
leather.
I think he does do that very well though,
Yeah.
with having that little bit of sort of sensuality in there. He's done a sheer before and it always works so well, I think.
There's Jordan. She says, I think. I'm
Yes,
very
that
good
was-
recognising
yeah, that was- that was-
and I am very far away
Is
from
that
the
Amelie?
screen.
He says, yeah.
She's beautiful.
These illusion
Yeah, she
type
looks so
garments
good.
are just so popular.
Yeah.
Like with the Stella McCartney illusion dress, it's just been sort of everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a big sweeping statement that I shouldn't probably say out loud. It feels younger than the last
Yes.
collection.
Yeah. Well, there haven't been many gowns, which is something.
Yeah, maybe
that
that's
he's-
what it is.
I think
Yeah,
I bet it's the
you see this-
absence of
That's beautiful.
But you know what? I think it shows real confidence that he's restricted it and just he's
Last,
not
last season was really confident as well with that kind of strong.
big Chinese.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it also felt complicated, where this feels natural.
Yeah.
I think that there was a lot. I loved the last collection, but I think this feels like it's all of it meshes
Gorgeous.
together.
Yeah.
They're all fitting together, all the different segments.
It isn't as grown up, is it? I don't think.
No, it's very young, very fat.
It's really gorgeous.
Is that a leather top?
She's a very red carpet friendly designer though. You can see so many beautiful young actresses wanting to
my
wear
She's
God,
got
yeah.
sleeves on. I thought she was
Yes.
wearing a leather top. She got
Yeah, they remind me
sleeves.
of the
They've got
Marc Jacobs
seamed
status.
arms.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's amazing.
I like the
there's a
seams up the
film.
back of the
Yeah,
gloves.
Yeah.
gloves.
There's an amazing film in this collection.
I'd be interested to see what his press notes are because the setting gives away nothing about how edgy this is.
Yeah. But maybe that makes it more special.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, again, I'm afraid of saying something out of place, but you know, kitchen floor, my mum's got a sort of kitchen floor like that. But it's sort of, because it is so white and plain and it makes the dresses sort of, and the leather and the lace feel a lot
Especially
stronger.
with that sort of quite restrict hair and the red lips and the classical music. And we're getting the gowns now.
Beautiful.
Oh, God.
I think it's the little details that he's really got right this season, so things like that seams and the leather detailing there.
Oh my
I
God.
love
look at
this.
that. So do I.
Wafting in a cloud of smoke.
Oh wow.
That is divine.
I think also it's great the way he's shown this female strength as much as he's
Yeah.
corsted everything and given them a very
And
feminine
shoulders.
curve.
Yeah.
Carly, she just embodies that so perfectly, doesn't she?
Yeah, cool. That's beautiful.
Oh my God.
But it is strong as well. The shoulders are strong. aren't they?
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
How many pieces was that?
Don't know.
I'm not sure. We can go to Now Fashion and see the imagery.
No, don't cut until the show's finished. It seems rude. It's bad enough we
No,
talked
it's
over
alright,
it.
not till it's finished.
Oh, look, as the light's falling, look how it's glittering.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And look, there's little pictures up there.
Yeah, what do you think of the whole sort of aesthetic of it,
It's
the
lovely.
design route? Because that's something.
Like it, lots. All of it. Beautiful.
Well, I think it's great because you see the back view as well as
Yeah,
the front view.
yeah.
I mean, you never get to see that.
We do a lot more. Oh, we didn't get his bow. Maybe they'll come.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, does it not show the final
sure.
run? I
We'll
always
have the
like seeing the
finale.
whole lot
His
together.
first reaction seemed really positive. We all loved it.
Yeah.
Well, what do the tweets say?
We
What
can
have
go
people
to
been
that.
saying?
Let's
Wait for the final
see
run.
the finale.
Yeah, the final walk. Also, just for our followers on Twitter, do tell us what you think as well, and we can talk about that.
What's happening now? They're doing secret stuff in the dark.
Well, this
This
is
is so telling the camera phone flashes, because that's just how everything's communicated. isn't it?
But they're doing something secret and nice in the dark. And this is why we've got the mirrors. This is why we've got the mirrors.
What are they doing? Where are they?
he's playing with real dolls now rather than.
Yeah, that's why the mirrors are there.
Oh, yes.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Slick.
I feel rude not to clap.
You can clap.
I don't want to clap on my
I'll
own.
clap for you.
I like the second skirt. I love that lace there at the bottom.
I think what's great is it's very him. He's done something that is new and it's very striking, it's very beautiful, but we've still
But
got
still
this-
gets the essence of it, yeah.
And that's what we were saying before, he's just managed to sort of refine himself so quickly and learn what his
Really
brand is
clever.
about.
Oh, should we do a little refresh?
Yeah, so it falls into play.
Oh, don't fall off now, darling.
Do a little top refresh.
We're going to miss his little
Yeah, we want to see
wave.
his little wave.
Yeah, I want to see what his face looks like and whether he
He's
feels
happy.
Yeah.
happy or.
Oh, sorry,
That's
darling.
alright.
Oh,
there
oh,
he
oh.
This is the peril of watching things online.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he looks happy.
Yeah, he should be happy.
Yeah.
Very proud.
Yeah.
Let's see the clapping.
Yeah, he
look at
skipped
that.
up. He
Yeah,
skipped
yeah.
up.
No, they all gave him a good little clap.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see the reactions to that.
But
'cause
that's the thing, he's just 29. I think it's so easy to forget that. You see him kind of skip off and you think, well, wouldn't you at 29
Yes.
if you produce something?
That was a beautiful
That's a good
collection.
take on a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to be that woman.
I would.
So first reactions, you all loved it. Everyone on Twitter is saying the similar things to us. It's very slick and very perfect, very refined to him, never disappoints.
Slick lines,
But I think in a way, what looking at this on Twitter shows is it's so hard to sort of focus on how brilliant something is with one line of a tweet. When people say it's beautiful, it's
140 characters isn't enough to do justice to a collection like that. You can't put 6 months of your life into 140 characters. It's rude. It's
Twittering about a collection is rude.
But you see that? I think it's so many people get their kind of knowledge of the shows off Twitter, and what can you say? You always have to just kind of revert to saying what the colours are and what things look like, and it is a bit sort of limiting. But I think as much as we all said that was refined, it was a complicated collection in a way. There were sort of elements of fetish explored and
I think it captured the contradictions of a woman. You know, sometimes you're feminine, sometimes you're a little bit tough. You've got to be a lot of characters. You can't just be this little dolly. So I think
and he did that in one outfit.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
I think it's a really nice graduation. It was Carolyn Murphy. I thought it was, but my eyes weren't good enough there. It was Carolyn Murphy that opened.
Yeah, because you could see she was shorter than the other.
Well, it wasn't that. She looked like Carolyn Murphy, but I didn't want to say it was Carolyn Murphy in case I was totally wrong.
Don't be afraid.
Oh, I'm glad she opened it. No, I think that Jason was a really good one to start with because that was really slick, really sexy,
It's
really
very New York,
sassy.
though, wasn't it? It was perfect.
Very New York. I mean,
I really liked that much more actually than his previous shows
Me
because
too.
I felt I could see what was great about his previous shows, but they didn't really appeal to me.
Yeah.
That really appealed to me. I thought that was really exciting.
Yeah.
I think the second look that came out with A-line leather and then that trim to see, because without that trim it's slutty. With that trim you can still see the thighs and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Was it those leather almost harness type bags?
The backs
Again,
were
it's so clever.
Really, really beautiful.
Yeah, the jumpsuit with that back.
how was the lace inset? Was it laser cut or was it lace inset?
We can go on Now Fashion and have a closer look if you want.
So say that. What was that question? Was it laser?
Well, I didn't know whether the lace was laser cut or it was an inset of lace. I don't know whether it was really beaten leather or it was laser inset.
I think it's lace and leather.
Yeah, go into number.
I think
go
it must
right.
be.
Go the other-
So
the other
fine,
one.
isn't it?
John, can we have our Now Fashion login? It's closed us out.
I think it's actually lace and leather.
Yeah.
I think it is. I'm hoping it is.
Yeah, because I like that it's sort of like good little girl gone bad.
Exactly.
We just need the password.
Leather and lace and all things nice.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by it though? Because I was expecting prim. We all said prim, and then it started, and it was a definite move.
I think it's bad to go into a show with any preconceptions of
Yes.
what was going to happen because you don't know what's going to have inspired him, what his life is going to have been, and I think it's really difficult to know how to sort of. I think the reason this talk was making me a bit nervous is you can't talk about something until it's happened, and it is that lace at the end. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
so
beautiful
fine.
buttery leather, isn't it?
It's
gorgeous.
Can you magnify that?
We can't magnify. I don't think on Now Fashion. No. Between them.
I mean, those
That's
X-ray
lovely.
jackets are really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's when you do see the details up close, like just those sheer panels.
Yeah.
Are those his shoes? Who did his shoes? Are those Jason's shoes?
I presume they're his own shoes. He's done shoes.
Yeah, but normally somebody.
Yeah, someone will have done them with him.
I mean, are they made by or somebody tweet us who did the shoes? How much they're retailing?
Yeah. They're kind of nice.
I mean, that's one thing about the internet, that you see this and you kind of want it straight away.
Yeah, you want it
know.
straight away. You're right.
Yeah.
There is a
How long
lot
do we
of-
have to wait?
You can.
long
There
do
is
we have
a
to wait?
modus
Well, there's-
operandi.
yeah.
You can, but you still have to wait, don't you? You can buy it now, but you still have to wait.
Do you think
Unless you're
that
carrying Rockville.
that will be the future, being able to buy stuff straight from the catwalk? Because we talked about the pace and how fast everything is, but it's kind of this bizarre system where we have this really fast pace, but then you have to, it's like you said with how far ahead you work.
Yeah, I think it must be. I think that has to be what will happen. I mean,
What did you say? You can buy instantly?
you can do it. Well, you can, yeah. I mean, no, you can't get it instantly.
When can I have
You
it?
watch a show and then
But you can buy it.
But
Yeah, you know, motor operandi. I think you can look at the whole show. You can buy.
You can buy and get it.
You can buy and then you can
Do you
leave a
not?
deposit.
Do you not like waiting for it though?
I still like waiting, but I like to know that I'm going to get it.
It's like saving. It's like saving up, isn't it? Instead of getting a loan,
Yeah.
it's much more
Yeah.
exciting
Yeah.
than saving up. Thinking, ooh, I can afford it now.
Yeah.
But do you think that's part of a challenge for a designer as well, as thinking about, you have, as Camilla said, you have this 20 minutes to kind of show who you are, show your brand, but then you have to also be thinking about something that's going to be relevant in the future.
But maybe what he's done is, I don't know what his resort collection looks like, maybe what he's done is his resort collection
it's very
is
different to that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
different. It's quite prim
Very prim.
and tailored and structured.
Tailored little coats, lots of little
It's
sort of princessy
quite nice, but
accessories.
Maybe he's
it's
giving
nothing like
everybody
those.
time to get to the gym and tone up to get into those pants and mini skirts.
There was a pair of leather trousers that
Oh my god!
the
Yeah.
high-waisted one with the bright
Yes,
coloured top.
yes.
I did like that kind of
Gorgeous.
neutral palette, and then we had that sort of those little bright bits of colour. I just thought it was a savvy collection. There were lots of beautiful accessories, and there were some pieces that you can just tell everyone will want. Like that there was a leather biker in there and a kind of pale
Yes.
flashy pink.
Yes.
So as much as it made an obvious statement, it was.
I think it's all really wearable.
Well, actually, and then they all flowed. All the different
Yes.
sections really went well.
We're waiting for more imagery in our fashion, but it is just beautiful. Those gloves are just incredible. Fashion seems so obsessed by this kind of fetishistic, slightly sort of sexual element.
Is that 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah, do you think
Is that
it is
the problem?
probably?
Behave, no. No one's read that.
But look at the back, that harness there.
I
Just-
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was such a clever detail. Can we see Michelle Obama in this?
Yeah. I mean, basically, she takes a lot of those
Yeah.
dresses and tweaks them around. I mean, she'll get a Calvin Klein and she'll have the hair.
She can show her back. She's got a great back.
She's got a great,
She's got
strong
great
back.
shoulders too.
She was
She'd
there
suit that.
She really would. Yeah,
She'd
that one
suit
with
that,
the
with the-
one strap down the middle of the back.
Yes.
Incredible.
Gorgeous.
You know, and she wore shorts getting off Air Force Ones. You know, she's quite, you know. But I think also it's one that you could see yourself in, or you could see different people in. It's not a scary collection that you think, oh my goodness, only a model could wear that if they were hanging upside down off a tree dangling a pineapple on their head. You need to have some collections that are accessible as well, and this is a collection where you can create the fantasy rather than have the fantasy created around it and you can't see how it would play out in real life.
That's interesting, Ruth, you kept saying, I want to make a film about this. How would you present that kind of collection subsequently and visually?
Lots of lovely
So I put you on the
ways.
spot.
Lots of lovely ways, but yeah, I think I'd want to read more about what before I put my thought on it. I'd much prefer to understand where he was coming from, him talking about it, rather than I'd want to know more basically before I came up with an idea on the spot.
Do you find that when you work with designers, it's always
Yeah,
based
you have to
around-
have a conversation. I wouldn't. I mean, there's obvious things that you can do with any collection, but it's much more interesting to sort of, you know, if they've read a poem that's inspired them or seen a painting that's inspired them, because then that puts me somewhere else and I understand more of who they are rather than it being about what I think about the collection. And I'm much more interested in what they think about their work than I am in about what I think about their work.
I'm interested in kind of the shopper that's going to buy this, because we all said it's going to be a younger clientele. But
What
the
have the
buyers
buyers
said?
said about it? Has Bergdorf or Saks or anybody like that tweeted in?
I don't think they have yet. We can have a look. We're getting lots of positive reactions. No, not so much yet. It says it's lingerie inspired. We've had that kind of the Helmut Newton. We've got more images from Now Fashion, so we can go across. I'm interested in the shopper because do you think for a whistle shopper this is the kind of thing they want to buy? It's not a London kind of all bells and whistles, very embellished, almost conceptual. It's more that kind of slick but beautiful clothing.
I think it's absolutely what people want to buy.
Yeah.
I think it's that sort of real strength. It's just very streamlined. I think it's really wearable. I think it's a great collection.
I think maybe he did a collection for Target in the beginning of the year in February. Maybe doing something so commercial and so. I think actually the thing with fashion is the more restrictions, the more you box yourself in, the harder you make it for yourself, the better it is. And I think in restricting his palette and his proportions and his cut and the fabrics he played with, I think he's come up with something really, really strong. And at the moment when everybody's a bit dicey about the economy or what they're going to wear or how they're going to budget, I think this is a really strong thing to put your fiver on.
Because the shapes.
Yeah, they flatter lots
the
of
shapes.
Yeah.
I think for Jason's, obviously, he's done so many recent collaborations, like you mentioned Target, but he's also done things like he did lingerie with La Perla, which maybe did inspire it. But I think that's, once a designer turns more into a brand, it's always that difficulty of kind of still doing something new and doing something exciting and not just being about this complete aesthetic, and he's done that.
No, I think it shows how much he's learned this year. Not that he wasn't. I think he's learned from the Target, learned from the La Perla. Yes. I think that's a really, really slick collection. I think that's very polished. I mean, I think that would flatter most figures.
I mean, it's very figure hugging. You said that, and we've all said kind of to the figure, to the form. It's very lingerie inspired. Yeah,
but it's not intimidating. Some of these shows you see and you think, ooh, and you have to think of. You have to think of there are lots of different shapes. It's, but there are elements of that every figure can wear. There are elements of that every woman could look good in, and it's playing to a woman's advantage.
It's very different, I think, to what we have in London, where in London there's almost a desire to sort of move against women and women's sexuality, and some of the designers showing here, it's a lot more about sort of thinking of gender differently and totally reinterpreting how women have traditionally dressed.
Yeah, I really do. I wish that we didn't have to talk about this New York, London, Paris. The individuals, I know that they all have different things to answer because of being commercial or whatever, and having to sell and having more money or less money. They are all individuals, and they all do think about a woman's shape, whether they want to go against the woman's shape or go with it. And I really don't like thinking about it as London puts that shape on a woman or doesn't think about sexuality. They're all so individual and work so hard, and I really, I'm sorry, but I don't like putting the London does this, did it?
But you see that with a designer like Erdem, is everyone kept saying, what he's doing is so refreshing because it's so different for London, and it almost got analysed because it was different from London, what everyone else is doing in London, rather than, as you said, just based on what he's doing himself.
Yeah, just want to just look at something and appreciate someone's hard work without having to put it in a little box.
But do you think that will probably change because we're getting even more sort of international fashion weeks, so somewhere like Stockholm we're getting a lot of Asian fashion weeks. Do you think that's going to start changing where actually it's kind of, there's not this kind of city focus that we have at the moment?
I think the internet is giving everybody a platform and it's making it more of a global fashion thing. I mean, there are different locations you have to turn up to, but we can be here in our slippers for a month and it doesn't matter where we go.
I think we might run out of things to say to each other.
Yeah, we might.
We
might eat the cakes backstage.
That's a mood board that was on backstage, so that is very clear.
Oh, that final dress is beautiful. I love the paillettes on that.
I've got a picture of them.
That's a close-up of the final dress, absolutely.
Oh my God,
stars. That's what I mean, it is the detail with him. It was it wasn't just a leather strap, it was a leather strap with a tiny little ring.
It's really beautiful.
Carly looks beautiful.
Yeah.
What was the piano music?
No, you've got good questions and I can't give you any answers.
It was nice though, wasn't it? It was nice.
I thought it was beautiful because I think if he'd played like hard rock music, it would have been like a total
bass and like heart on heart six.
Like if you played that show again with a different soundtrack, it would be a total different.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think he did it just brilliant.
Yeah.
So what's the future for Jason now after this? What do you guys think?
Well, I think he should take a couple of days off and have a nice little holiday. But I think he's done a really strong collection. I think that's got really beautiful form, really beautiful pieces, and I think the thing is people go, what's next? You've just like flogged yourself to death for 6 months. I think celebrate that was a really strong, good collection.
Yeah.
And,
probably needs a little nap.
Yeah.
Have a little nap.
I think he'll get a
I
whole
hope
new
he
fan
gets-
base.
I hope he gets
I
lots of...
really do. Yeah, yeah.
What fan base do you
I think he will get. He'll get younger women wearing his clothes, which I think they probably weren't as much before. I mean, I always saw him as being a designer who designed for, slightly more mature, not women. But I think this is just so contemporary, so spot on. I think that so many people will love it.
Do you think maybe it was something quite deliberate from him? Because I think
Yes, I
it
do
did-
actually.
yeah,
I
see
do.
it
I
was-
really do. And I think maybe it's a reaction. It's a terrible thing to say against him being known for the dress that Michelle Obama wore, which was a beautiful dress, but it wasn't very directional necessarily. And I think he's now saying, you know what, I can do this as well. And I think he's done
He
that.
has always explored these slightly darker elements, whether it is in kind of a sheer panel or whether it's in the way he does his hair and
Yes.
makeup. But it does always get kind of eclipsed by this
Yes.
Michelle Obama's dress and by this prim tag. So maybe this was kind of a final look. I can do it, and I've been doing it. And
He's
Paisley's
broken
really
out.
attention. So what else are we looking forward to, just to round things off for the rest of fashion season?
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody to see what they do in their own merit, and I don't think that you should sort of diffuse his moment by talking about anybody else. I think if I was going to talk about, I think we should sort of like end on, I think the opening outfit and the finale outfit are always the ones that make and break a collection, and I think from if you look at the story from Callan Murphy to that whoever closed in that beautiful étoile tulle dress, I think he's got such a strong message going on, and I don't mean that in a condescending way, because who am I couldn't even thread a needle, but I think that's a really beautiful collection, and that looks really modern, sexy, healthy women. She's not some twiglet, she's like a proper woman.
Absolutely.
She is.
Yeah.
All powerful.
Yeah, powerful collection.
I like it.
Well done, Jane.
Yeah.
Well done, Jason. And thank you to our wonderful panelists.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. That should be the final.
Yeah, Jason, let us know what you think.
Yeah.